Welcome to Hero Club.
I'm Nick Williams.
And I'm George Primavera.
George and I started playing Dungeons & Dragons with our buddies in college, and we haven't stopped since. Even when we lived on opposite coasts, I would Skype in George on the TV in the living room of my apartment,
while I would DM from the floor of my bathroom so as not to wake up my roommate. When I finally came out to Los Angeles, we started playing with our friends right away.
And when we'd inevitably tell other people about the ultimate betrayals and daring heroics that happened in our games, we realized that they were just hearing a jumbled mess instead of the cinematic blockbuster memories that were in our heads. We wanted to show people how fun and immersive D&D can be, especially those who had never played.
And to do that, we record a full game like normal around the table and then painstakingly cut it down from 4 hours to a clean, math-free episode, so you can experience our memories the way we do.
Just like in a real game, nothing is ever written or planned out ahead of time with the players. The only things we add are music and sound effects.
I am the Dungeon Master. I build the world and the framework for an adventure. The players, like Nick, must then journey through the obstacles I set before them, rolling a 20-sided die and adding character-specific bonuses to see if they succeed. If they beat the number I have in my head, then their action is successful. If not, it is a failure, and there may be consequences. We try to follow the rules of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition as close as we can, but as the Dungeon Master, what I say goes, and there are some things I like to do differently.
Each season is its own contained story, so find one that sounds interesting to you and start from the top. And hey,
welcome to the club.
Hero Club presents Brand's Bargain. Chapter 5. The Monarch.
I've a proposition for ye creatures on my killing floor, whose bones would soothe my children as they teethe. Ye can keep this grave to dig, or ye can join my hempen jig, where you'll be legendary ere ye live to breathe. So sails up, tails high, get down and let fly, legendary ere we live to breathe. And when a beast my ship becomes, when rogue waves soak the powder bombs, and ye can't find a weapon to unsheath, ye dash their brains upon the rocks, and tow what's left back to my docks, where you'll be legendary ere ye live to breathe. So sails up, tails high, get down and let fly, legendary ere we live to breathe. Creatures, when ye meet the queen, the raven one is what I mean. Tell that tramp ye still can't leave. Lose your class and lose your name, lose your treasure and lose your game. But you'll be legendary from the ocean to the aviary. Sails up, tails high, get down and let fly, legendary ere we live to breathe. Sails up, tails high, monster storm, look 'em in the eye. We're legendary ere we live to breathe. Even Gills had better heed. Sails up, tails high, get down and let fly, legendary ere we live to breathe. Sails up, tails high, get down and let fly, legendary ere we live to breathe.
Tibby Feathergill had tossed out her old patron and agreed to feed a new one. But this ain't some noble woman's ladybug we're talking about here. This was an ancient monarch butterfly. Soon as the beast was loose, it had the whole island up in flames. And the thing about flames at night is they can attract predators.
The night is quiet, the moon casting pale light down on the gently swaying trees below. The slanted roof of the old boathouse just barely protrudes from the canopy, and a few hundred feet away, the hempen jig sits in the water at a strange angle, after having been crippled by the gargantuan horror beneath the surf only a few hours prior. Snag turns restlessly in a longboat hanging off the side of the vessel, easily visible to Flintbeak as he flits overhead.
After years of tactical training with the Blackjacks, Flintbeak is not about to spend the night on an unknown island without first surveying it.
Flintbeak, make a perception check.
11.
The night is quiet. You listen closely and feel yourself being lulled by the swaying of the leaves and the gentle crashing of the waves.
Flintbeak whistles quietly to himself, an old tune coming to him on the breeze, and finds a tall tree to roost in.
You settle into the leaves for a moment, staring up at the stars that are slowly becoming covered by roiling gray clouds. Thunder booms in the distance.
Struck by a thought, Flintbeak rouses himself and flies down, attempting to locate any other supplies that might have been left behind in the attack on this island.
Make an investigation check.
21.
In a pile of wooden debris, coated in that hardened, shiny black substance, you see the gleaming of metal and pull out a standard blackjack musket.
Well, hello there. And who might you belong to?
You pull it a little tighter, out of the pile, and see that where somebody would have held it is completely covered in black, hardened sludge. Roll another investigation check.
19.
As you wrench the musket free and analyze the pattern left in this hardened black material, you determine that there is an outline of a person's shape, as if somebody had become lodged within it and then peeled free after it had hardened.
Oh, poor fella. Slinging the musket over his back, Flintbeak begins to walk back towards where he saw Snag, hoping to confer with the sea witch about what he's found.
As you walk out onto the beach, you see a still figure, faced out towards the water, hands behind their back. Make a perception check.
19.
Captain Brand stands faced away from you, seemingly tapping his wrist and staring unblinkingly outward.
Unsure if being out of their home for the night would cause suspicion or punishment, Flintbeak ducks back into the cover of the trees and watches.
You settle in. There's a beat of silence. Brand's ears twitch, and he looks slightly behind him. And then the trees are alight with fire. Flintbeak, behind you, the boathouse suddenly erupts in a pillar of flame. Burning wood is scattered across the already ruined forest, and thick gray smoke begins to spill out of a hole in the roof, as well as several places where the walls have been completely destroyed. The boathouse, once a rotted yet steady structure, is now immolating like paper. Something enormous and glittering breaches the hole for a moment and then rapidly unfurls. Make a nature check.
16.
A scaly, chitinous wing pokes its way out, flashing a brilliant orange color against the firelight, and then pulls its way back in. And there is a screech.
Soul on a Sultan sandwich!
Captain Brand, out on the beach, has completely turned around to see the inferno in the trees.
As Captain Wayland Brand is illuminated by the firelight, it's clear that his well-kept dress is disheveled. Blood is everywhere, spattered along his face, down to his untucked collar and unbuttoned coat. Without a word, Brand sprints into the ocean towards Snag Taggish. Mr. Taggish! Open your bottle! We're leaving!
Inside the boathouse, Celestyna is rocked awake by a plume of fire that sends the entire wall of this boathouse into the opposite wall. Celestyna, you awake just in time to see one of the blackjacks, wreathed in fire, go still on the ground.
Celestyna stumbles to standing, gets her bearings quickly, and goes to grab Hillsby and Fletcher and run out of the building.
What's happening?
No time to talk. As Celestyna tucks Fletcher and Mrs. Hillsby under her arms, she whispers, "Bestia." And they feel a rumbling in her giant paws as her fur starts to thicken and coarsen about her and her eyes go dark. Her muscles get larger and harden and her pace quickens.
Celestyna, as you tear out of the room, an inferno on your right and burning wreckage on your left. Make a perception check.
12.
Within the fire to your right, there is something massive, growing larger and larger, seemingly unfurling in a grotesque and wretched manner. And then there is a smaller figure in the fire, though they are hunched and motionless. Fletcher calls out on your shoulder as he stares into the fire.
Oh, saints preserve us! I think that's Tibby!
Back outside in the tree line, Flintbeak, staring at the fire, jolts back to his senses.
Stealing his resolve, Flintbeak quickly reaches for the concoction of mobility on his belt and downs it, increasing his dexterity score by 3. Then, summoning the best of his aerial alacrity, takes to the skies and starts down the coastline towards where he saw the bloodied Brand.
Flintbeak, as you and Captain Brand approach the hempen jig, you see Snag Taggish sitting upright in the longboat.
What in sweet salting soul's name is that?
Open the bottle now, Mr. Taggish, we're leaving!
Snag, without a second thought, grabs for the flask on his hip and uncorks it with his teeth. The haunting sound of a panpipe echoes across the waves as smoke begins to almost vomit from this flask, creating a large, low cloud of fog over the water. And emerging from that fog is a ghostly, waterlogged longship, along the lines of the ones used by raiders in times of old, where some ships would have the triumphant form of an eagle or a beautiful maiden as the figurehead. This one has a grotesque, gnarled tentacle. The whole thing is covered in barnacles and seaweed, and both the sails and hull are filled with more holes than are possible to stay afloat.
As this ship takes form on the water does not physically react at all and is completely undisturbed by the ghostly ship.
Snag topples over the edge of the rowboat that he was sleeping in and into the water. His clumsiness turns to grace the second he dips beneath the waves, and he pops up seamlessly on the side of the ghost ship.
A ghostly hand pulls him aboard. Another barnacle-covered red deer, hunched and bearded, with one eye missing, and a ghostly sea anemone making up a solid third of his torso.
Evening, Junior. Come to dear old Daddy for help once again, have we?
Oh, can it, Dad? Start battening down the hatches already. Get the men to work.
You heard him, you mongrels. Out we go.
The ghostly figures aboard the ship immediately begin to grab oars, orienting the ship outward to sea and moving towards Captain Brand. Meanwhile, inside the boathouse, or rather, inside the inferno within the boathouse, Tibby, fire surrounds you. From within your mask, Tagra, please.
Tibby, don't do this. It is a mistake, a lie. Haven't I been good to you, Tibby? I was good to you. I killed them for you, Tibby. Please.
You killed them? Without my hands, you're nothing.
No, wait.
The mask on your face hums for a moment. There's an impact as the material cracks all at once from a central point on the mask, and then flame begins to fill those cracks. And soon Tibby's entire head is alight with fire exploding from a mask that is now more closely in the shape of a butterfly with spread wings. Tibby, the massive figure within the fire, does not reveal itself just yet. But you see the ashen piles that used to be two of the priests of Soul, as well as the pirate smelts, suddenly disappear, as if they are hoovered up by a great vacuum deeper into the inferno. And you smell approval.
I hope you liked your dinner.
You smell the affirmative, and then a black, barbarous leg, the thickness of a tree trunk, gently extends from the fire and taps your forehead, and you feel something immensely painful in your back. as Tibby is sent to the floor, kneeling, just as Fletcher, Gertrude, and Celestyna are peering into the fire. Grotesque, slimy wings suddenly explode outward from Tibby's back, glistening in pink fire. As you feel this power course through you, you smell something else now. An encouragement to a new hunger that you feel deep within you. You are meant to feed as well. Tibby, as you stare out into the main room of the boathouse, you hear a door explode open on your right, barely even needed since the walls have been blown asunder. And two scared and confused blackjacks look on horrified as they pull muskets out and fail to load them in time.
Aw, you won't need those.
Tibby faces the two blackjacks and smiles wildly. Her jaw drops, almost as if unhinging itself, and from her mouth spews a huge cone of pink fire.
The soldiers are unable to get out of the way in time. Roll damage.
14 damage.
The two do not even have time to scream as the pink fire engulfs them, leaving two piles of ash on the floor, evaporating them instantaneously. And both piles smell delicious.
Tibby opens her mouth once again and inhales the two piles of ash.
Tibby, you regain use of your breath weapon and gain 10 temporary hit points.
Excuse me.
And then behind Tibby, a horrible, furry head, at once the color of ash and red cinder, pokes its way into the main room. Glittering Acelli eyes reflect the firelight as spiny leg after spiny leg follows. The Monarch butterfly's brilliant orange wings seem to give off an aura of mystical and ancient power, the black white-spotted borders of the wings seeming to swim with a motion of their own. The monster's quadrisected mandibles open, drool drips onto the floor, and a long proboscis extends, slurping up the pile of ash where one of the blackjacks was felled by the bursting fire. As it consumes its meal, it looks at you, Celestyna, and screams. Celestyna, make a wisdom saving throw.
14.
You feel fear grip you. Celestyna becomes deeply frightened.
Professor Nybert wets himself in abject terror and scrambles under the nearest table to hide.
Make a stealth check.
4.
Nybert's entire bottom half is exposed under the table. Meanwhile, outside in the ocean, Captain Brand clambers aboard the ghostly vessel in the water.
As Brand clambers in, the first thing he notices is that the entire floor and presumably lower decks of this ship are covered in piles and piles of treasure. Gold coins, royal crowns, gems, and various artifacts litter the entire deck.
We have little time. Now!
Comfortably behind the helm, Snag is suddenly very calm. You do not have anything to worry about, Captain. All who board this vessel can never be seen by anyone on the shore, and we simply must wait for the rest of your property to arrive.
Inside the boathouse, Celestyna, gripped with fear as Fletcher and Gertrude scream under her arms, is faced with the horrifying Monarch butterfly.
Celestyna runs like the wind out towards the beach.
You blast past Brent Butcher, smash through the floor, and run out onto the beach towards the ocean, leaving the butterfly in the dust.
What is that thing?
Celestyna, you tear across the sand as Fletcher calls out from under your arm.
You saved us. Oh, thank you so much.
Flintbeak, after green smoke gathers up on the water where Snag seems to be emptying the contents of some kind of bottle into the surf, Snag suddenly dives into the water and is gone. And soon, Captain Brand, still swimming forward, reaches a hand up, is pulled out of the water, but disappears as he does.
Flintbeak! Where are the others? We must go.
Flintbeak banks down towards Celestyna as he calls out in response. I had eyes on Snag and Brand until just a moment ago, but I haven't seen Tibby at all.
Celestyna catches up to Flintbeak. and puts down the two animals.
I think she's still in there.
What was all that pink fire?
I think that was her. There is something in there with her. Some beast.
Right, I saw that. Are we trying to wait for her?
I don't think she is in trouble. Or if she is, it is trouble of her own making. She, along with this other creature, now have wings. So I don't think we need to worry about waiting for her to get to the boat.
Great, she'll find us. As Flintbeak takes off, his body starts moving so fast that an afterimage, created from the pulse of electricity left behind him, seems to follow him through the air. And then another, and then another.
Make a perception check.
15.
You scan the surf, but the boat is gone, as are your compatriots.
Taggish!
On the boat, Snag sees Flintbeak about 30 feet away, yell for him out into the ocean.
Snag closes his eyes, and out from the hempen jig explodes Merdina, flitting in front of Flintbeak's face before banking down towards the invisible ship, guiding him along.
Flintbeak throws a look to Celestyna, hoping she's tracking him, and follows.
Celestyna, make a perception check.
28.
You see Flintbeak follow Merdina out in the dark ocean, barely any light there to assist you, and then Flintbeak disappears. You suddenly see Merdina reappear and pulse with a glowing, pale turquoise light, signaling your way.
As convincingly as possible, Snag goes about readying the ship to go, but taking longer than he needs intentionally, so as to stall.
Roll a deception check.
21. You there, starved squirrel! Grab that rope and bring it here. You, drowned hog. What is your name again?
Cornelius Hidpiddle!
Right, I remember now. Would you also please fetch me some more rope, please?
You suddenly feel Bran's hands grab the fur on the back of your neck.
As your captain,
Mr. Taggish, I could be captain. All I'd have to do is say the word.
Right you are, sir.
All make way for sail!
And the boat begins to lurch forward, further out to sea. Tibby, feeling adrenaline course through your veins, you smell something telling you to look across the room. You follow its gaze and see Professor Nybert hiding under the table.
Oh, him? Oh, he's all yours. He's not one of my friends.
You smell a correction. The butterfly is your only friend. Those are not friends. They are food.
But your quarrel isn't with them. Your quarrel is with the men that locked you up and held you tight and didn't let you eat. It seems that 2 of the priests are gone, but there's still one missing. Shouldn't we take care of him?
A correction. The other priest is dead. If you concentrate, you can smell his blood. Make a perception check. With advantage.
15.
Peering where the butterfly is gesturing with its antenna, you see, buried under some rubble, the leatherback turtle priest. And though he appears crushed by fallen beams, there is a dagger sticking out of his chest.
Oh. Huh. I didn't see that coming. Well, it looks like there's just one loose thread waiting to be tied up, and he's not here.
You smell a request for a clarification.
Oh, of course. I'm talking about the captain, Captain Brand.
The butterfly's maw opens.
And don't forget, we were held and used by this man, just like you.
Make a persuasion check.
23.
A request. Can it have some of them outside?
Why do you need the ones outside when there are 3 in here?
Tibby gestures towards the dead turtle, the albatross cowering under the table, and Brent Butcher in the corner.
Wait, what?
Make one final persuasion check. With advantage.
16.
The butterfly looks back towards Nybert and then towards Brent Butcher, and then gathers up fire in its jaws. Its entire body arcs upward, and then it belches a cone of fire 90 feet forward. Celestyna outside. You see Brent Butcher emerge from the door.
Get back! It's gonna...
And then he disappears in a blast of fire. On the beach, you feel the flame get within 15 feet of you. The immense heat. And then as the fire immediately is quelled, you have a perfect view of the Monarch butterfly, standing wreathed in flames. A winged Tibby turning slowly around as well to see all of you on the beachhead.
That means hello!
Professor Nybert, still under the table, happens to be in the only piece of the boathouse that is still standing.
Nybert fully loses his nerve and crawls out from under the table, then heads toward the beach at a full sprint.
Wait! Wait for me!
He passes the butterfly, which takes an opportunity attack against him. Nybert takes 18 slashing damage, bringing him down to 2 points of health as he continues just barely past the creature.
Wait!
Double time, Mr. Taggish!
Right, you filthy lot, you heard the man! Get to your oars! Row! Row like the wind!
As Flintbeak skids to a stop on the ghostly deck, he takes stock of what's happening. Brand, what are you doing? You still got crew on that island?
Brand snaps his head towards Flintbeak. If you want to play hero, fine. Go back towards the fire.
Celestyna sees the blinking light emitting from Merdina and makes ready to jump in the water and follow it.
We're swimming?
You're an otter.
I'm fine. Well, what about Miss Hillsby?
She will go on my head.
Miss Hillsby has already clasped her hands around Celestyna's neck.
Let's hit it.
Celestina swims at full speed towards the invisible boat.
Fletcher swims furiously beside you. Make an athletics check.
22.
Celestyna absolutely tears through the ocean, and as you look up out of the surf to check your distance, you see Merdina's light is a bit brighter. You are starting to gain on the longship. Miss Hillsby, atop your neck, yells into your ear,
Fletcher's falling behind.
Always nice to be reminded of the virtue of the Armada. And with a derisive look to Brand, Flintbeak pushes back off the ship, headed towards his swimming companions.
Celestyna suddenly sees Flintbeak appear out of thin air, flying towards them.
There he is.
Spotting the swimming Celestyna, Flintbeak banks in that direction. Hi girl, I can get you there quicker, but it's gonna hurt a little bit.
Pain is nothing.
Right. Grab hold, and a lash of lightning springs forth from Flintbeak's hand.
As Celestyna voluntarily fails the save, she takes full damage from the spell.
12 lightning damage.
Bringing you down to 147 points of health, erasing 5 temporary hit points from your short rest, and you are pulled through the water 10 feet. As you pull Celestyna and Gertrude forward, Celestyna tanking that lightning damage, you have a clear view of Fletcher, sputtering in the water. Left, right, left, right. His strokes begin to slow, but in an attempt to reassure you, he lifts a hand up out of the water.
I'm all right, just...
And then he disappears beneath the surf as if pulled by something immensely strong.
Celestyna, you're gonna want to get out of the salty water.
You're not wrong.
Snag takes one look back at his allies in the water, takes the helm, and says, "Double time. Double time!"
And Merdina's light gets significantly dimmer. In a flash, it's about 150 feet away from Celestyna and Flintbeak. Tibby, you and the butterfly simultaneously feed on the ashes that are wafting in the air where Brent once stood in the doorway. The butterfly looks to you. A request for a plan as to how this loose end will be tied up.
Well, you so graciously erased the binds that he once held on me, so I would be free to take him out, if that should be your wish.
Roll a persuasion check.
13.
You smell impatience. This is not good enough. You smell hunger that must be satiated now. And then you smell a sudden alertness. You smell confusion.
What do you feel?
you smell a grim realization. It has returned. The butterfly slowly spreads its wings and suddenly takes off into the sky, but not before reaching a spiny leg out and grabbing Nybert.
Oh, wait, no!
Tibby shakes out her brand new wings and leaps into the sky after it.
Brand stares at where Fletcher disappeared beneath the surf. A crazed smile creeps upon his face. There's the answer. 2 flies, 1 stone. Hold off, Mr. Taggish. We need our tracker. As Brand looks to Celestyna, struggling in the waves.
Right, about face, men! Back to the bear!
Celestyna, something is stirring in the water behind you. The water is rising. And something with so much surface area that breaching the ocean water is difficult and meets resistance begins to poke its way out of the surf. The gleaming, shining black top of the crustacean horror.
I can't get you there in time. Get back to the shore, girl. The sea's not safe right now.
I can't do anything from the shore. I got to try.
Merdina's glowing image freezes in the air. Celestyna, make an athletics check as you ignore Flintbeak and tear off towards the boat that you don't know has stopped to wait for you.
27.
The fear of seeing this butterfly monstrosity, as well as seeing Fletcher disappear beneath the waves, courses through your bloodstream. And with the adrenaline, you swim and swim and swim until your head bashes against something solid, yet invisible. And then suddenly, strong feline hands grip your back and yank you aboard a ghostly vessel that suddenly becomes visible to you.
And I thought you lot were supposed to be good swimmers.
Standing above you, ghostly green and slightly translucent, with matted down wet fur, is Fenwick Dougherty.
Flintbeak, following from above as Celestyna tears through the water, makes it back to where he assumes the boat is, zeroing in on Merdina and landing on the deck.
As he does, Merdina disappears onto the deck as well.
As Merdina goes dark, the 60-foot wide crab stands up out of the water, and it keeps rising, much taller than it appeared while it was standing in open ocean. It rises to 150 feet tall. By the time it reaches its full height, it is as tall as the Monarch butterfly has reached in the sky. Tibby, as you fly upwards, the butterfly leaving you in the dust, you hear Nybert's screams fade as the wind intensifies. And then in the moment of quiet, the fire burning below you, your friends nowhere in sight, something thuds into you inside. Silently, ripping through the night sky, something pierces your armor, knocks off your flight trajectory, and as you right yourself, your butterfly-like wings flitting quickly, you see a 4-foot-long black Icarus spear is sticking out of you. You take 19 piercing damage and 18 poison damage, bringing you down to 133 points of health. Make a Constitution save.
22.
You feel a powerful secondary effect to this poison that your body naturally filters out very quickly. As you stare at this spear, there is another whistling in the air and another spear rockets towards you. However, this one glances off your shoulder pauldron and flies off into the night. And you look to the source to see a massive black carapaced crab the size of a 6-story building, eyes swiveling between the butterfly and your floating form, directly before you.
Ow! Tibby looks upward to the butterfly.
So you really think we can take this?
You smell adrenaline, animal instinct, and aggression.
Tibby smiles and flies up, joining the butterfly. She rests upon its back.
Make a persuasion check.
19.
The butterfly jerks in a little bit of protest for a moment, but then you smell begrudging acceptance. Now make an animal handling check as you grab some of the fur and wrap your legs around its carapace.
2.
You hold on for dear life, using the entirety of your turn to secure yourself. With you clinging to its back, the butterfly begins to strafe the crab, and regaining its breath weapon, once again unleashes a beam of fire 90 feet long. The crab fails the dexterity save. The crab takes 88 fire damage as it is engulfed in flame. However, once the flames die down, the scorch marks are less severe than you would anticipate. What Professor Nybert told you about the creature's resistance to temperature pings in your mind. The crab has only taken 44 points of fire damage due to its resistance to fire. The crab lunges forward much faster than you would anticipate and goes to clamp the butterfly in its giant claw. The butterfly takes 25 piercing damage and is grappled by the crab. The crab pulls the now crunched butterfly towards its mouth, and Tibby, clinging to the butterfly's back, you see a rotating razor hell of tiny little crab teeth, bubbles frothing at its lips. With a 36, the crab bites through the butterfly's carapace. The butterfly takes 23 damage as it is bit into, and then the crab forces the entire top half of the butterfly deep into its mouth, swallowing it. Half of the butterfly is now sticking out of the mouth of the massive crab. Tibby, literally within arm's reach of the open, choking maw, the butterfly struggles inside.
Tibby lowers her jaw and once again lets loose a breath full of pink flames towards the creature's eye.
The crab, fully focused on its massive attempted meal, botches the save to avoid it, and Tibby perfectly engulfs one unprotected eye.
20 damage. Tibby quickly jumps off the back of the butterfly to put distance between her and the crab.
The butterfly responds, viciously striking it from within. The crab jerks to and fro as the butterfly works two barbed legs inside and begins tearing at its insides. The crab takes a total of 32 points of damage, and the crab responds by once again attempting to swallow the entirety of the butterfly as Tibby floats away from it. Cramming the glittering orange butterfly deeper, using both claws to assist it, the crab belches and seems to wriggle back and forth as it manages the butterfly's immense strength from within it. It then faces Tibby, and from the corners of its mouth, long dripping black spears materialize and then are spat forward. Tibby, as you see the spear rocket towards you, your instincts kick in and a protective magical field blossoms in front of you, wreathing you in fire, but then this bolt bursts through this barrier. You take 50 piercing damage and an additional 31 points of poison damage, bringing you down to 52 points of health. Make a Constitution save.
24.
Again, you resist the poison's secondary effects, righting yourself in the air. Back on the ghost ship, after the butterfly seemingly is consumed by the massive crab, all of you look on as Tibby is speared directly through the sternum by a long, glittering spear, fluttering a little haggard in the air, but still wreathed in pink fire.
Manky, Tailspot, that's our girl out there. Branda, isn't this the thing we're supposed to be fighting?
Snag, you need to send help.
What kind of help am I supposed to send?
Light the way like you did for me.
Snag takes a fast look at Brand.
Brand takes a moment, reasons with himself, turns to Snag, and curtly nods.
Snag throws a hand up in the air, sending Merdina up as a beacon for Tibby.
Tibby, make a perception check.
15.
Tibby, in your periphery, out in the ocean, you see a pulsing, subtle turquoise glow. Merdina, floating in the middle of the ocean.
Well, as fun as this has been.
Tibby touches the spear that is currently through her body.
I think it might be time for me to go.
Tibby flies as fast as she can towards the light.
Tibby, as you dart towards the light, the crab opens its maw, lunges after you, and then suddenly belches a torrent of fire up into the sky as the butterfly regains its breath weapon from inside the creature, poking its head out and crawling out of the crab's mouth, dealing 88 full points of fire damage for attacking the interior of the crab. The crab fails the Constitution save to keep the butterfly within its gullet, and then suddenly the orange wings burst forth and the butterfly screams to the sky. Tibby is tearing across the surf now as the combat intensifies behind her. Merdina gets closer, and then suddenly you breach the layer of invisibility and slam into the ghostly deck.
Whoa!
She's aboard! Move, lads! Row! Row!
The crew responds, intensifying their speed, moving away from the island. But then Brand comes up on your side.
Brand attempts to fix his outfit to no avail. As he slowly walks towards Celestyna, regaining his formal status, Brand puts his arms behind his back.
Miss Wozcyk, we have some more tracking to do. Finally, we may find what we've really been after. Tracking not where this thing is, obviously.
The crab and the butterfly struggle furiously in the background. Another blast of fire engulfs the crab.
But if you would be so kind to track where this thing makes its home.
Celestyna, make a survival check.
25.
You scan the horizon, watching as the butterfly flies out of reach of the crab, and black spears pierce its wings, shot upward from the crab's mouth. As your eyes wander along the horizon line, you see a small shape, what you glean to be an island in the distance, with what are probably cliffed shores. And as rain begins to fall from the clouds, you look towards this island and notice that the rain is hitting the surface of the water differently. Squinting your eyes, you glean a trail of more opaque black sludge coming from this island. The rain smacks against this thicker path through the water, and swampy bubbles pop every once in a while.
Celestyna slowly lifts a paw in the direction of the far-off island.
That is where we're headed. Though, may I suggest we don't go direct.
Gertrude Hillsby walks over to Tibby, poking the black spear stuck inside of her chest. Puts on a little glove, grabs it.
Hold on tight, dear. This is gonna hurt like the dickens.
Go for it.
And yanks it free. Tibby, make a Constitution save.
22.
Tibby looks like she's going to pass out, and then doesn't.
You have to attack it from the inside.
Celestyna walks over to Tibby and picks her up.
I'll move this heap out of the way of the oarsmen.
She picks her up and slings her over her shoulder, moving towards the back of the boat, and as she does, she touches her and quietly whispers,
Uzdrovich,
filling her with a magic healing power.
Tibby recovers 16 health points, bringing her up to 68 points of health.
And as she does so, she notices the brand is gone from her shoulder. She decides to keep this to herself.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad the butterfly didn't eat you.
I assume that was your doing.
I may have had a hand or two in it, yes.
Tibby, you notice Brand staring at you unblinkingly.
Tibby stares back, her eyes unblinking because she has no eyelids.
As Tibby is facing Brand, his eyes flit to the 4 translucent wings on Tibby's back. As they flutter in the breeze, they glow an iridescent rose.
Flew a little too close to the sun, didn't you, Tibby? How many more is that now? Given every opportunity, your one true instinct is kill, kill, kill again.
You ask me how many more? I've simply lost count.
Make an intimidation check.
24.
Tibby and Brand stare at each other with intensity. Tibby radiates power. Her skin, once tinged a subtle rose pink, now seems to be roiling with swaths of much brighter pink, as if there is constantly motion underneath her skin. Brand stares back, stalwart, imperious, and the rest of the crew notices Tibby's bright, clear wings suddenly begin to ripple pink and give off an immense heat. Everybody roll an Arcana check.
18.
13.
29.
Everyone but Celestyna recognizes that there is a subtle, fiery aura forming a kind of invisible shield around Tibby. A shield comprised of pink, almost invisible fire. Interrupting the tense moment, the drowned ghost of Fenwick Dougherty spits in the center of you.
Look at you smug, scabby roasters. I can't wait to see you all die slow, painful deaths.
Oh! Snag backhands Dougherty sharply across the face.
And Fenwick is sent to the deck.
That's no way to talk to your new captain, Fenwick.
Your father appears at your side.
You'll learn soon enough, boy. Captain's orders.
Your father kicks Fenwick towards the oars and looks at you with disgust and jealousy.
Time's coming soon, Junior. Can you feel it?
And he walks to his position at the oars. Snag, roll a deception check.
27.
No one notices the flicker of fear run through Snag.
He stalks back to the elevated platform in the back of the ship.
Flintbeak approaches. Mighty nice to have this just lying around, isn't it?
Oh aye, it's a blessing for sure, but it's also me curse. You see that deer over there? The old one, with the missing eye? That's my da. And as soon as I leave this mortal plane, I'll take his place. Be just like him. Just a hapless sailor, taking commands for all eternity.
Who's the next captain?
Snag smiles wistfully. Now that's the one thing I'm not sure about. The rest, that's guaranteed.
As you all swing wide around the island, heading southward, towards the small island Celestyna had pointed out, the fight behind you concludes in spectacular fashion. The butterfly, having risen above the storm, suddenly plummets back down through the clouds. A glowing of fire blossoms where its mouth is, burning brightly in an orb, as if fire is roiling in a massive ball, the butterfly treading air with its 4 rotating wings. And as the fire is about to reach an apex, there is suddenly a flashing through the air. The orb of fire dissipates, and the butterfly twitches violently and drops out of the sky hundreds of feet into the open crab claw of the monster that descends beneath the surf. Brand seems disappointed for a moment, but then turns back towards your destination.
Flintbeak approaches Brand, eyes fixed on the same point in the distance. So, you got a backup to the backup plan?
Soldier, you should know. No plan survives contact with the enemy. Now's the fun part. We must improvise.
Tibby, you smell the faintest smell of fear, disbelief, desperation, and then acceptance. Make a wisdom saving throw.
7.
Tibby stiffens straight as a board and passes out on the deck. As everybody stares at Tibby's unconscious form on the deck, Tibby dreams. In utter blackness, there is a small light, orange at first, a small flame flickering, and then changing shade. A purple flame, and then it brightens, turns rose pink, and then the fire grows until it is a perfect sphere in the midst of an utter void. And then suddenly, bursting out from the sides, pink, translucent wings, and laughter, echoing laughter. It's quite a while before you realize that it's you laughing, and then you smell an invitation. Yes to what is in front of you, or no, where a black void awaits you.
Tibby giggles to herself and wills herself towards the flames.
Tibby, you come to and everyone's around you on the deck. You're in Celestyna's arms.
Are you with us?
Huh? Oh, yeah. You're so strong.
Can you stand?
Yes, and I can fly.
Tibby and Celestyna, make an investigation check.
Botch. 6.
You place Tibby down, and the entire crew, deciding that nothing is wrong, looks towards their destination. Tibby, you absent-mindedly scratch an itch on the back of your neck. Satisfied, you join your compatriots at the boat's edge, passing the ghost of Snag's father, who peers down, sees what Tibby has scratched.
Oh no.
He shakes his head and returns to his place at the oars.
I've a proposition for ye creatures on my killing floor, whose bones would soothe my children as they teethe. Ye can keep this grave to dig, or ye can join my hempen jig, where you'll be legendary ere ye live to breathe. So sails up, tails high, get down and let fly, legendary ere we live to breathe.
This has been a Hero Club production, produced by Nick Williams, George Primavera, and Jack Wade, with associate producers Marty Abbe-Schneider and Dylan McCollum. Voice acting by George Primavera, Nick Williams, Caroline Lux, Lelia Symington, Gabe Greenspan, Dylan McCollum, Marty Abbe-Schneider, Chase Mullins, Chuck McCollum, Jackie Emerson, and John Matteson. Theme song composed and produced by Matthew McCollum and performed by Dylan McCollum. Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod, Ben Doyle, and Matthew McCollum for their amazing music, Mage Hand Press for their genius D&D 5th edition homebrew, Marty Abbe-Schneider for his incredible artwork, and Ali Cantonese, our hero. Follow us on Instagram at Hero Club Podcast, on Twitter at Hero Club Pod, on Twitch at twitch.tv/hero_club, and check out our website, heroclubpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and welcome to the club.
But you'll be legendary from the ocean to the aviary. Sails up, tails high, get down and let fly, legendary ere we live to breathe. Sails up, tails high, monster storm, look 'em in the eye. We're legendary ere we live to breathe. Even gills had better heed. Sails up, tails high, get down and let fly, legendary ere we live to breathe. Sails up, tails high, get down and let fly, legendary ere we live to breathe. Sails up, tails high, get down and fly.
Are you ready?
I am.
Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
This is going to be the full blooper. Is just Caroline having a panic
just, like,
attack.
having a panic attack.
No, I'm trying to. I'm gonna listen. It's so hot in my room. I'm turning red. Okay.